Today I want to give you some really important, powerful tools to help you step into 2023 with a blank slate, concluding the 2022 energy as best you can. The 2022 energy asked you to step into your higher alignment, your Christ alignment, into a deeper level of truth and authenticity with yourself. It asked you to see where you were self-compromising and what the difference between self-compromise and love was. Now, I've set up 7 questions. These 7 questions, I want you to listen all the way to the end, because each question is a layer of consciousness. And in order for you to get the totality of today's gift, listen to each of the 7 questions. And I do not want you to take the heading of the question only. So don't listen to the heading of the question and fast forward, because when I explain the question to you, that's going to drive home to you how to answer it and how to address the question. So please don't limit yourself. Don't limit your time that you invest in yourself. And we're actually going to talk about that in one of the questions that you're going to get asked. So this is a place of honesty with you, nobody else. This is just for you. It's a place of authenticity. It's a place for you to get so real and deep and raw and vulnerable with yourself, because moving forward into 2023, this is the practice that you're going to need. 2023 is a quantum leap that you could never have taken without the learning of 2022. But let's consolidate and integrate and sum it all up so that you can step into 2023 with open, clean energy, ready to embrace the 2023 energy. And the truth is, the 2023 energy is already around you. You already are interacting with it. But the goal of this conversation is to help you to conclude the year that has just gone past. We've lived in the false matrix, in a world of illusion and lie that has told you to suppress. It's told you to deny. It's told you, and it's even rewarded you and said, oh gosh, look at you. You're coping so well, when you were really suppressing. So this is to enable you getting more real, less suppressed. And in that authenticity with self, something really beautiful happens. And that is, you become more real in your own life. You stand out to yourself in a way you didn't before. And then what happens is the world starts appearing very unreal. So the more real you become, the more unreal the world around you becomes. And I know many of you are going to say, whoa, I'm there. That's already happened. Wait to see what 2023 has in store for you. If you think that's already begun and you've already experienced it, you've experienced the beginning of you getting more real and the contrast of the world behind you starting to seem very, very transparent, very, very see-through. I spoke a lot this year about videos that I did regarding the falling of the veil. I spoke a lot this year about the true matrix and the false matrix. This was all getting you ready for where we're going in 2023. It's an exciting year. Another video is going to talk about the 2023 energy, but please let's wrap up 2022 with a big red ribbon and all of your love going into it. Let's start with number 1. So this, again, your place of honesty, only for you. First question is, where am I neglecting myself still? Where am I neglecting myself? But the answer to that question is often not obvious. It is often, in fact, many of the questions I'm going to ask you, you're not going to have an obvious answer. You're going to have to sit and really connect. I don't want you to analyze. This cannot be, should not be an analytical process. The process of getting real and authentic with you is, what do I feel? If I let myself really connect and be in the moment as the authentic being that I am, and I don't limit and judge what I allow myself to feel, and I don't control what I allow myself to feel, if I give myself free reign to feel what is, what then? What would surface? So this isn't about go analyzing. This is about go allowing for whatever comes up, for whatever surfaces, to surface. Where am I neglecting myself? That's the first question. And one way that you can answer this is to understand that self-neglect will always have a counterbalance. The counterbalance to self-neglect, because where's the energy gone, right? All the energy that you were supposed to invest in yourself, put in yourself, the energy that belongs with you, you've put it somewhere else. Where is it? So you can look at, where have I overinvested in somebody else? That's going to help you to get to a state of authenticity with this question. But embedded in this question is a secondary one. So we could call this 1.1. Where am I still not my own priority? And to answer this question, you can look at some sub-questions, right? So now you can look at, well, who am I answerable to first? I'm not saying who are you answerable to, because I thought, how am I going to phrase this that people are going to understand it? And I wanted to ask you that question, who are you answerable to? But then I realized, no, a lot of you are going to say, well, I've got children and I've got a boss and I've got da-da-da-da-da. So the easiest way for me to ask you the question is this: who are you answerable to first? And if your answer is not you, there's an imbalance. Somewhere there is you extending energy to somebody else, because you cannot give to somebody else what you yourself don't own. You cannot give a level of love, commitment, loyalty to somebody that you yourself are not enabling and enacting and living from. So this is essential. Coming here into this 1.1, this part of the first question, where am I still not my priority? Okay, how do I identify that? I'm going to look at, who am I answerable to first, and who am I responsible to first? Because again, a lot of people, if I say to you, you've got to just be responsible to yourself, people hear that bit of the sentence and then they go, oh, what about my children? Oh, what about my dying parents? So if I ask the question to you this way, who are you responsible to first? That's going to help you to see that, okay, we all have people. I'm a mom, I have 3 children. We all have people who are heavily dependent on us. But here's the way I see it. I'm not responsible for anyone. I'm responsible to everyone, to be the highest version of Kerry that I can possibly be. That is my responsibility to my children. If I show up as the highest version of me that I can possibly be, then I am serving them and doing right by them and teaching them how to do the same and building really foundational, healthy habits that serve them through life. There is never neglect of others when you are in a space of prioritizing yourself. And take a moment to really understand this. Because neglect of self plays out as neglect of others, right? So you can see why I put this all together in one question that started out with, where are you neglecting yourself? That was the first question. And everything that we're talking about now has come from that very first question, because if you are neglecting yourself, number one, you will neglect others even if you don't mean to. And number two, you will be neglected. Why? Why will you be neglected? Is it because you must be punished? Is it your karma? No. You will be neglected by others because the universe needs to wake you up and give you this message. Neglect isn't comfortable. Neglect is unpleasant. Neglect is not what you want. And a lot of people make the following mistake. They say, hey, to the person that's neglecting them, hey, you're neglecting me. I want your attention, your time, your energy, your focus. Why don't you care about me? Why don't you prioritize me? And at that point, you got to stop yourself and go, okay, it's all right for me to want those things from somebody else, but I cannot ask somebody else to give me what I cannot give myself. So the cue that the universe is showing you is how to remedy the neglect of self by creating priority, right? Number 2. This is a beautiful one. Am I learning to validate what my eyes cannot see? There's this huge gaping collective human wound right now where so many people have experienced narcissists, so many people have experienced gaslighting. And part of that experience is being undermined. For example, somebody who's gaslighting you is going to say, don't be so sensitive, you're making a big deal out of this, get over it. They're going to try and undermine and demean what you feel, to invalidate what you're feeling. So that's your calling, to learn to validate yourself. The same principle as number 1. Don't go running to those people and say, hey, validate me, validate me. because then you're always going to be in craving. And it doesn't matter if it's just or unjust, fair or unfair. By all means, you can ask somebody to respect you or to do whatever feels appropriate for you. You can absolutely do that. But when you're not holding the resonance of it in your body, it cannot stick. Even if they give it to you, you will leak it right out and then blame them for it. So number 2, this is such a beautiful thing. Can I learn to validate even the things that my eyes cannot see? In other words, when I feel something, can I let myself validate what I feel? When I sense something, can I let myself validate what I sense? When I intuit something, can I let myself validate what I intuit? Now, it's absolutely true to say that we do have entities, we do have malevolent interference. So I don't want you to dismiss everything and to chalk everything that you feel up to being your intuitive truth. I want you to know that there's a huge level of discernment that's going to come into play here. But your intuition is such a powerful tool and such a simple tool to use, and it's one that most people confuse. I'm going to give you a quick hack and the ultimate crib on how you know whether it is your intuition speaking to you or malevolent interference from entities or programs or AI or anything else like that. How do you know? Simple. Your intuition hardly ever uses words. It almost always uses a feeling. And even if the feeling is describing something really outrageously big and kind of troublesome, your intuition never shares it with you in that way. There's no drama with your intuition. It's just simple. Boom. It's a little flush of energy. Sometimes there's a word that goes with that little flush of energy. The other day, here's an example. We had flooding. Couple of streets down from me, and in an area pretty close to where I live, we had flooding. And I woke up, I wasn't dreaming, I woke up and I was lying in bed, yawning, getting ready for my day, and I suddenly had this picture of water flowing, and I felt myself swimming in the water. And whilst I was having this vision, I was thinking, this is weird, why would I be swimming here? But I was just swimming down a road. Who knew? It's the middle of summer. It's not a rainy season for us here. And that very day, these huge rains arrived. And it was such validation for me of how your intuition works. There was a big mudslide. It was quite a big hoo-ha, this little day flood that we had. But the way in which it arrived, no drama, no fanfare. Look at that, swimming down the road. That's how your intuition speaks to you. Not a lot of words, but there's almost always a feeling or a sensation. So, as we go deeper into these questions, you're actually going to learn how to deepen your connection to self, which deepens your connection to your honest intuition. Question number 3 is, where do I have room? Where do I have space in my life for more personal responsibility? We don't know the difference in the false matrix, certainly. We don't know the difference between blame and punishment and personal responsibility. So we've understood that responsibility equals blame and punishment. So no wonder we didn't want to be responsible. Even when we knew we had to be responsible, something in the subconscious was always going to try to indemnify you of responsibility, which was really indemnifying you of being powerful. As we shift consciousness and step into the true organic creation template, also known as the true matrix, as this shift occurs, personal responsibility becomes a huge catalyst, of this shift. And you're going to keep growing and growing and growing in the area of personal responsibility. But here's how you can sum it up in your life. Imagine that there's a pendulum swing, and on one end of the pendulum swing, there is you berating yourself, absolutely putting yourself down. You know, this is self-criticism at a level that if anybody else spoke to you the way your inner voice has spoken to you, you would cry for a week and possibly sue them for slander because it's that outrageous. So berating of self, one end of the pendulum swing, and then, so it's the kind of I'm wrong, I'm bad, and then the other end of the pendulum swing is self-pity. And it's kind of like, well, they've done this to me, somebody else has hurt me, so now I'm in self-pity. There's a video that I did about self-pity on my YouTube channel. You can look that up if you want to. But that's the pendulum swing from I'm the worst thing to I've been done in. And somewhere in the middle is personal responsibility. So allow yourself to see those two extremes of the pendulum swing, and just to check it out. And a lot of you will waver between the two, and you might notice that the pendulum swings are getting less, which is really, really beautiful. So this is not about judging yourself. Can you see? Can you see how very counterproductive your own judgment's going to be? And can you see how compassion for self is going to alleviate that judgment? I'm giving you questions so that you can validate yourself. Pat yourself on the back and go, hey, even if my pendulum is still swinging, is it swinging less? If it is, great. If it's swinging more, still great. I can see that it's swinging, and I know that there's a middle ground, and I know that eventually that pendulum swing is going to come into its middle path, which is personal power, also known as personal responsibility. This is a big one. Question number 4 for the 2022 energy was but massive. One of the buzzwords of 2022 was the word boundaries. And there's a video that I'll do on boundaries because I absolutely don't believe in them. And I know that a lot of people have just gone, hair standing on end. How could she say, what blasphemy is this? How could she say such a thing? The truth is that boundaries are limiting and inhibiting. Anytime you're creating a wall between you and life, you and something else, you are creating a limitation and harm. And you already know this, that there is no separation. You know that your field of energy interacts with another person's field of energy, and just because you've put up an imaginary wall between the two of you does not mean that now their influence is gone from your life. So boundaries in the traditional way that they've been taught, I absolutely don't get, I don't agree with, but I do agree with a higher version of boundary, which is self-honoring. Because when you self-honor, you create a field of energy and integrity around yourself. And that field of energy and integrity, number one, is going to attract its correlating energy. So in other words, people who self-honor tend to attract people into their life who honor them. But if you've got people in your life who aren't honoring you, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're being given a memo to honor yourself more. This is how the universe issues the memo. It shows you behavior in others that you don't like, and then you get to look for it within yourself and say, well, am I not honoring myself? How can I not make my life about other people's behavior and rather become more responsible and make it about my own behavior? This is how you truly take responsibility. Remember, it's not blame, it's power. This wonderful energy, and it's an expansive energy. It's not a limitation. This expansive energy of self-honoring is you issuing a decree to the universe, to humanity, that says this or better. This or better is how I'm going to be treated because it's how I treat myself. This is my standard. So instead of boundaries, think in terms of standards, think in terms of self-honoring, and raise your standards and elevate and expand your self-honoring. Does that mean there's no bad people in the world? Don't be ridiculous. There's terrible people in the world and demons and all sorts of things. But your light protects you when it shines bright enough. So focus on that, the emanation of your light, which becomes a bubble of impenetrable frequency, impenetrable to those of lower frequency. So this is a very, very important one. The question here, I've already explained it to you, but now I'm going to give you the question for number 4. Have I practiced saying no to others? See, a lot of people would call that a boundary. I call that a standard. I'm allowed to say no when I'm, for example, compromised, or when I'm being asked to do more for somebody else than I can do for myself. So there's areas in 2022 that became highlighted, and they said, you need to say no to this person, to this boss, to the situation, to this event, and not do it in the way of shutting them off, making them less. Because if you listen to a lot of the rhetoric around this boundaries conversation, you're going to hear a lot of superiority, a lot of people slamming others and saying, well, I showed them, I put up a boundary. This is not a higher frequency state of being. Standards and self-honoring are the fuel of how you get into that no, but to do it without prejudice to another person, without bias, without annihilation, without judgment, and without shutting yourself in or down. Any time you create a wall between yourself and life, you are creating limitation and you are creating a trap that one day you're going to break free from. So that was a really, really important one. You might need to replay it at some stage for yourself. That was number 4. Let's go now into number 5. So if number 4 was all about the question, could you be true to yourself? Then number 5 takes it a level deeper and it says, can you say yes? If number 4 was, can you say no to others? Then number 5 is, but can you say yes to you? Because it's very easy to say, I want other people to say yes to me. In other words, to honor me, to give me, to provide for me, whatever it is that you want in life. But can I say yes to me? Can I grant my own needs? Can I meet my own needs? Can I say yes to me? And for a lot of you, that's going to feel indulgent. For a lot of you, that's going to feel, oh, but I can't take that much. So this is a teaching around receptivity, and it's most importantly one around connectivity to self, because you can only say yes to you when you are connected to you. It's also about investment. Can you invest in yourself in order to give yourself what you need in this world? So notice that I didn't ask you, what do you need? I only asked you the question, can you give yourself what you need? Because your needs are going to change. Today, your need might be healing and recovery, silence and time. Tomorrow, it might be an interlude with abundance. So allow yourself to know that those needs are not stationary things, they're evolving things. But for you to meet them, you must have a level of connection to self and an agreement with self to invest. The false matrix taught you to invest in the lie. The false matrix said, baby, you need this perfume. You need this new handbag. The lie, the illusion. Invest in the illusion. Invest. Take the richest pop star, movie star, monarch, and donate to their charities or buy their makeup line or their clothing line. Invest in the illusion. Why? So that you never invested in the truth. Now, I'm not talking to you about a monetary investment necessarily, because some of you don't have it. And that's beautiful, and it's where you are, and I want you to honor that. But do you have time? Then that's your commodity. Then invest your time in yourself. Time to sit in stillness, time to connect. There are so many YouTube videos that are here for free. You can go through them. On my Instagram, same thing. So many videos for free. Invest what you can. If it's your time, if it's your monetary exchange, at the level to which you're comfortable, invest in yourself, because it's nothing for you to invest in somebody that you love. I want to treat you to dinner. I want to make you happy. I want to see to your needs. But seeing to my own, oh no, somehow that shouldn't be spent upon or invested in. And I want you to reverse that now and to understand that in order to say yes to you, to meeting your needs, investment is necessary. Connection is necessary. We got two more questions. And this is where they get really powerful. Number 6 is, am I able to see the difference between love and self-compromise? Am I able to see that difference? Because it's not, the words are obvious. Well, these are different words and they mean different things, but they look the same in relationships. So ask yourself, because most of you are going to answer, no, I'm not compromising myself. Don't be silly. Most of the time you don't see self-compromise until afterwards, until you feel miserable and rotten and depleted and just this washed up lump of misery. Only then do you go, oh wow, you know what? I think I was in self-compromise. So instead of getting yourself there to that level of depletion, I want you to stop right now and look at where you compromised yourself in the past and ask yourself, did I see it? At the very beginning, the middle, or the end? Where did I see that self-compromise was occurring? Because you're going to talk yourself out of it. You're going to say, oh, it's just me. You're going to gaslight your own self, basically. It's absolutely imperative that you safeguard yourself from self-compromise by establishing a base resonance of self-love. Self-compromise versus love. And you learn to discern it and see it and know it when self-love is in place. And in order for you to self-love, you go back to the question I asked you before number 6 or number 5's question. Let me just check, am I right? Number 5. That was all about the connection to self, the investment with self. That's the foundation of love. You show yourself love by spending time with you. Isn't that how you would show love to another? You become interested in where they are. You invest in their life. So this is asking you to become really invested in your own life. That's setting up the foundation for that self-love, because a lot of people say this to me. They say, well, Carrie, I hug myself every day, still don't feel the self-love. This is not self-love. Even saying the words, I'm beautiful, I love myself. It's not self-love. Those are empty, empty, empty words. Fill the words up with action. Then you'll never need to say the words. It'll be just this beautiful bass resonance. Everything you do is going to be based on a self-love and a self-honoring. All right, let's get into the last one now. Question number 7. Who am I sacrificing myself for? So this is asking you to look at your life and just see, who are those people, and did they ask me to love them at this level? Did they ask me to self-compromise at this level? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. But do they need me to? In other words, does it serve them? Does my depletion, does my self-sacrifice really uplift another person, or am I lying to myself? Am I deluding myself? Because you're going to find that you absolutely are, because no one benefits from self-sacrifice. Let me say that again. No one, not you, nor the person on the receiving end, no one prospers from self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice is damaging to everyone. Even if on the short term it appears that somebody's needs are being met, they're being met in such an unhealthy way that that person is being deprived of their own growth. And again, if you're not in self-compromise, where are you? You're in self-honoring. That is such a big lesson of the 2022 year. I want you to remember this in closing. The highest version of you serves the most people. The wisest version of you has the most exquisite advice to give. The most loving version of you can love the most. The most abundant version of you can share the most and give the most. You staying small serves no one. This is time for you to really validate yourself and to get into a committed relationship with yourself. And I'm going to pick up from this conversation about committed relationships in the next video that I give you, which is going to be on the 2023 energy. We're going to talk about commitment in loving relationships, because as you will have seen from these 7 questions, it's asking you to get into a very committed relationship with yourself. For those of you that are called to join my online community, I'm looking forward to seeing you there. In December, we've got some bonus sessions. In fact, we've got one coming up on the 20th of December about releasing and letting go of everything that we've spoken about here, so that the path ahead of you is one of ease and openness. Don't start 2023 with clutter. Start it with openness. Yes, the session is recorded. People always ask me that in the comment section. You can watch it next year anytime you want to. Mwah, lots of love from my heart to yours. Let me know in the comment section which of these 7 questions hit home for you the most. Which was the eye opener for you? Lots of love, everyone. Bye bye for now.